Thank you, Madam Chairman and Ranking Member Bozeman, for having this hearing today, and thank you guys for being here. It's really critical, and it certainly is in my state. Mr. Undersecretary, I'd like to discuss the disaster assistance programs authorized under the Farm Bill, specifically the Emerging Assistance for Livestock, Honeybees, and Farm-Raised Fish Programs, or ELAP. You know, Mississippi grows more catfish than any other state in the nation, and it's been such a good crop for our state for many years, and we certainly want to protect it and do everything we can to enhance it. Because on Friday night, Southerners, they go eat catfish at a catfish house somewhere. And I'm guilty. We do it on Friday night as well. But the bird depredation and the disease, it's really posing a great threat to the long-term viability. It amazes me what a nuisance and just a disaster they can be. But the catfish producers suffer substantial economic losses to the bird depredation annually. And the problem is really threefold. Obviously, the revenue that's lost by the fish that are consumed by these birds, and it's amazing. I don't know if you've ever watched them. It's amazing to watch this happen. But then the death losses due to the diseases introduced by fish-eating birds, they just bring with them. And then, of course, the increased cost that it takes to scare the birds away from the ponds. And since the vast majority of the catfish production occurs just in a few states, Alabama, Arkansas, and Mississippi, we really don't get a lot of attention on this because it is kind of just a southern state thing. But let me just describe to you what these farmers are dealing with. I mean, hundreds of thousands of these cormorants. They migrate south each winter, and we just look for them. We know it's coming, and they're fish-eating birds, and they can eat 1 to 3 pounds of fish per day per bird. And because catfish ponds, they're relatively small, 10 to 20 acres, and they're stocked with about 7,000 pounds or more of fish per acre. They make a very attractive stopping spot for these birds. They know exactly where they're coming. And I mean, it can be a flock of 500 easy at one pond. And that's not uncommon, and they can be there for weeks. They can be there for months. And we all know if they're there, because that's when the phone starts ringing. But during these events, the farmer, he may spend $800 or more per acre to scare the birds away. And since the cormorants and other predatory birds, such as pelicans and cranes, are federally protected under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, we can't use lethal methods without a permit from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and those are pretty difficult to get for these farmers. So, you know, rarely does a flock leave for very long, and they're right back when you scare them off. That's a lot of shells. And after the cormorants leave the catfish farm in the spring to fly north, farmers are often counting thousands of fish that died just from the diseases they brought with them on top of the fish that they consume. And, you know, if you do the math, in a large flock of cormorants eating 1 to 3 pounds of fish per day for a month, that's a huge financial hit to these guys and ladies. But when you factor in disease and the other additional cost, it's put people out of business. But unfortunately, catfish producers are not eligible for any of these losses under ELAP or any other USDA disaster program for that matter. They just have to take the losses. And this is a genuine crop loss here that's out of their control. But I would certainly consider losing $1 million worth of fish in a short amount of time, or spending tens of thousands of dollars to scare birds. It's a disaster to these farmers. But the U.S. farm-raised catfish industry is a major contributor to rural economies in the Southeast and provides thousands of jobs in some of the most rural and underserved parts of this entire country. So, saying all of that, I would love to amend ELAP in the 2023 Farm Bill to address the issue. And I guess my question, Mr. Secretary, is would you commit to working with me and my staff in the Senate Ag Committees to provide technical assistance and feedback on several proposals that we're looking at related to this issue that I'm working on? And I want to be sure that any changes made to ELAP work and are easily implemented by USDA, but we have a really major problem with this, and it is, it's a southern thing, but I just want your commitment, if you can give that to me, to help me with these issues.
Absolutely, and I know I might turn to Zach as well. I know he's been engaged on this issue as well. We'll absolutely commit to work with you, but let me turn it to Zach.
Thank you, Senator, for the question. And growing up on a ranch, driving an H tractor in a hayfield with a jumbled up toolbox and a messy garage that we didn't have the money to put the electricity in, I learned how to use tools very well and learned how to improvise. ELAP is our best tool for that flexibility, and we were able to use that tool to extend some flexibility to the aquaculture industry broader. The causes of loss that you mentioned, we do have some challenges with those particular causes of loss under the program, but absolutely we'd love to work with your staff to help get to some solutions that work better for your producers.
Can you just briefly tell me some of the challenges of why we don't meet that?
ELAP has a lot of weather-related cause of losses. We were able to find flexibility to get aquaculture in under the weather-related damage with regard to Winter Storm Uri in 2021. And to hear the redfish producers tell it, we really helped save their industry. The barrier or the bar against assisting where it's a depredation issue, we use our LIT program for depredation issues. So there's maybe a little bit of a confluence of programming that needs to happen there in order for us to really meet that need.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and I'm glad you guys understand and that you're familiar with this, and I appreciate your help. Thank you, Madam
Yes,
Chairman.
ma'am.